Have you ever heard that beautiful story told as if it were a modern fairy tale? Work hard for a few years, invest the money well, and then live on passive income forever. It comes packed with motivational phrases, sunset images, and that smiling guru on Instagram who swears that his life is all coffee on the balcony and world travel. At first, everything sounds perfect. You imagine yourself waking up late, calmly having a coffee, receiving a fat picks in dividends, and spending the rest of the day deciding between going to the beach or binge-watching your favorite series. It seems easy. It seems possible. It seems like the happy ending that every worker dreams of. But the reality is that this forever is full of invisible asterisks that no one highlights in the caption. Passive income is not a magic machine that never stops working. Companies go bankrupt, funds plummet, real estate is empty, interest rates fall, crises appear. And when that happens, your quiet life can turn into a financial nightmare overnight. It's like building a house of cards, beautiful to look at, impressive to show to others, but one that collapses with the slightest breath of economic wind, and the worst, without a plan B, you don't even have a safe place to lean on. The dream falls apart, and the promise of freedom turns into a desperate race not to sink along with your investments. Do you think you'll be free? That you will finally be able to say no to any job, any boss, any boring obligation? That you'll be able to spend your days at your own pace without ever looking at a clock or answering urgent emails again? That's that, ... In theory, this idea is wonderful. In practice, this supposed freedom can turn into a much more suffocating prison, and worse, with invisible bars. Without a plan B, every penny that comes in from your passive income becomes the oxygen that keeps your life going. And if the flow decreases, it is as if the air becomes rarefied. Suddenly, you realize that you're not really living, you're watching your money like a paranoid security guard, reviewing reports, tracking quotes on your phone, doing the math in your head before you even think about ordering a pizza, and all it takes is for the economy to take that wrong breath and unexpected crisis. Rising inflation, plummeting interest rates for you to feel that chill down your spine that keeps you up at night. That promised freedom turns into constant anxiety. Will the money be enough this month? And next year? Living only on passive income with no other source of livelihood is like living on a paradise island. But with the boat leaky and no way to ask for ransom, it's beautiful until the day you realize you're isolated, surrounded by water, and with the tide rising, this is where things really start to get ridiculous. At first, you believed that living on passive income would be like being on a luxury cruise, just enjoying the view, but little by little, he realizes that to maintain the standard of living, he will have to juggle financial acts that border on the absurd. Sell part of your investments to pay bills, cut expenses that were once basic, renegotiate contracts, and even consider going back to work on something you swore never to do again, only now with twice the pressure. Because each mistake costs too much, it's as if the stage of your life, which was supposed to be a quiet and elegant show, has become an improvised circus where you try to balance plates while tripping over your own feet and the audience screams. And the audience, in this case, is not other people judging you. It's your own fear of breaking, laughing at you at every imbalance. That's when the penny drops. That passive income was not a VIP ticket to tranquility, but a temporary pass to a show without a script, without a rehearsal, and without a guaranteed happy ending. If you want to continue discovering the truths that no one tells you about the perfect world of finance, subscribe now to the channel and activate the bell, because here we dismantle the myths with a good dose of irony and reality. You've planned for years that well-deserved rest. He imagined travel, lazy days, quiet nights, and the feeling of finally having won the race. But without a plan B, that dream dies before it even begins. All it takes is the first flaw in your passive income for the castle to collapse. A tenant who falls behind on rent, a stock that fails to pay, dividends, a fund that plummets without warning. Within seconds, you go into panic mode, and then all the planned rest turns into hours in front of the computer. Immersed in reports and investor forums, trying to find answers to the unpredictable, instead of relaxing, you'll live putting out invisible fires. And the cruel irony is that even when everything seems to be working, you can't really relax, because you know that the next crisis might be peaking just past the calendar curve. It's as if your long-awaited early retirement came with a hidden manual, Congratulations! Now you're going to work twice as hard to keep things still. True freedom isn't about doing nothing, it's about not living hostage to the fear of losing everything. And have you ever been in a situation where rest has become a headache? Tell us in the comments, because your story can open the eyes of many people. There comes a day when the penny drops. Living only on passive income without a plan B is like subscribing to a lifetime service that you can't cancel or pause. You depend on that flow of money, but you have no real control over it. It doesn't matter if you want to change your life, live elsewhere, invest in a new project, or simply spend a little more in a special month. You are hostage to how much passive income decides to pay you. It's like being stuck with a fixed salary that you didn't choose, but that you can still decrease without warning. And unlike a traditional job, there is no option to increase productivity, to earn more. You're limited to what the assets yield, period. It is a silent and unilateral contract where you are, at the same time, the dependent customer and the product that generates its own profit. The real hell begins when he realizes that he cannot switch off and that any instability, a market crisis, a dividend cut, an unexpected vacancy will cost him his sleep, his peace, and perhaps the financial independence that seemed assured. It is the suffocating feeling of having conquered something that, in practice, keeps you tied to invisible chains. And then comes the fall. It is not a cinematic explosion. There are no sirens, no newspaper headlines. It's slow, silent, and barely noticeable, like a tide that rises inch by inch until you realize you're already drowning. First, you cut out small luxuries, telling yourself that it's temporary. Then, he cancels the trips that once seemed guaranteed because now is not the time. Soon, he begins to sell one good or another to fill holes, believing that he is just reorganizing his finances, until one day he looks around and realizes that he has returned exactly where he left off, but with a cruel detail. Now he is more tired, more skeptical, and with a constant fear of the future. The golden dream of passive income with no plan B crumbles like a sandcastle carried by the tide. Grain by grain, without you being able to hold anything in your hands. What's worse is that, at that point, rebuilding everything from scratch seems like an impossible mission because the time, energy, and confidence are gone. The final drop isn't just about numbers in the account, it's about the quiet collapse of your belief that you were safe forever. That's when you understand that the real loss wasn't the money, but the peace of mind it promised.